Ladies and gentlemen, many of you may know the federal government finally got around to charging four cops in the Breonna Taylor case. The DOJ came out and made the announcement recently. And am I happy? No. This should have been done back when Breonna Taylor was killed. You know, it's amazing how these folks will take their sweet old time whenever it's a case involving one of us. And it's unacceptable with how they drag their feet on this one. And number two, Daniel Cameron is very much responsible for this. He tried to do that grand jury without the option of anybody being responsible for the death of Breonna Taylor. He tried to act like, well, the grand jury could have brought this up if they wanted to. That's BS. And I'm glad some of them did speak out at that time against what Daniel Cameron did. He made sure Breonna Taylor would never get her due process. And in my opinion, it shouldn't be just the four cops. It should be the four cops and Daniel Cameron included because he obstructed justice when it came down to the Breonna Taylor case. So, four current and former Louisville police officers are facing federal charges in connection with the fatal police shooting of Breonna Taylor, including excessive force, falsifying information on the search warrant, and staging a cover up. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced Thursday. Now, am I real enthusiastic? Not really. The DOJ has a long standing track record of not doing for us. They don't ever want to do a thing when it comes down to us. They'll back out of a case, they'll push a case back, they won't deal with the case at all. And it has been several black cases that went to the DOJ and they literally just pushed the case back. They do not do a thing for us, and nor are they interested. But I'm looking at the timing of this whole thing. We know the midterms are coming, and I guess they're going to always do things in a way where they don't have to do reparations or actually give us something. So this is just more symbolism at the end of the day. So Kelly Goodlett and Joshua James are accused of falsifying information on a search warrant before and after Taylor, 26, was killed in March of 2020, sparking a wave of racial justice protests across the country. Garland said that the officers not only violated Taylor's Fourth Amendment rights, but also knew the falsification would lead to a dangerous situation, one that resulted in Miss Taylor's death. The Attorney General said Goodlett and James allegedly met in a garage after the killing and conspired to lie to investigators about the circumstances that led to it. I'm not surprised. I mean, when it comes down to us, that's all they do is lie. When do they not lie? Breonna Taylor should still be alive, Garland said at a news conference. Well, that's real priceless. And who is supposed to feel better about that? You know, Breonna Taylor was killed in 2020. This is 2022, and you're just getting around to this now? See, when Daniel Cameron set up that grand jury and Breonna Taylor was not included in the case that was presented to them, you should have stepped in at that moment and shut down everything Daniel Cameron was doing. Former police officer Brett Hankinson was charged with willfully using unconstitutional force for firing 10 shots through Taylor's patio door during a raid. Hankinson, faced with 3 state charges of wanton endangerment for firing those shots without a clear target, but was acquitted at trial in March. None of these cops should have been acquitted for what happened to Breonna Taylor. Louisville Police Sergeant Kyle Meany is also facing federal charges, Garland said Thursday. James was previously fired by Louisville police for allegedly violating department policies in preparing the warrant for Taylor's home. Now, if you had a legitimate reason to go into Taylor's apartment, why did these cops do this amount of lying? But y'all want to trash Breonna Taylor, and the cops got the warrant under shady circumstances? You can miss me with all of that. Yvette Gentry, then the interim chief, wrote in a predetermination letter that James had lied, and then wrote in the warrant application that he had verified through the U.S. Postal Inspection that Taylor was getting packages related to the alleged drug activity of her ex-boyfriend. James is suing to get his job back. Okay, if these cops did this amount of lying, why aren't any of them in jail? They all should be in jail. All of them. But these folks want to get in your face talking about Breonna Taylor was shady. Breonna Taylor was selling drugs. Y'all can miss me with all of that. Again, if that was true, why did these cops do this amount of lying to get the search warrant? So until you can give a sufficient answer, you can miss me with all the trashing of Breonna Taylor. You can go somewhere else with that. The Department of Justice and the FBI has long been probing the Taylor case for potential civil rights violations. In April of 2021, Garland announced a pattern or practice probe of the Louisville Police Department to determine whether the agency had engaged in abuse of power and unlawful tactics. That investigation is ongoing. On Thursday, the Attorney General said his agency was committed to fighting for justice on Taylor's behalf more than 2 years after her death. Well, that's 2 years too long. So these killers got to walk around for free and clear of any charges for the last 2 years. They've been living life like they did absolutely nothing wrong. We share, but cannot fully imagine the grief felt by Taylor's loved ones, Garland said. This is a developing story and will be updated. So that's what I have so far. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a travesty of justice for real. It really is. This should have been taken care of back in 2020 when Breonna Taylor was wrongfully targeted in her apartment, inundated with gunfire based on falsifying evidence on the search warrant. See, if you got to lie in order to do your job, then the problem is not the person you targeted. The problem is you. I see the cops way more problematic than Breonna Taylor. So all of you conspiracy theorists, you can all shove it. And if they come around here trying to post all this Breonna Taylor, a dealer, Breonna Taylor, this, y'all get rid of all that stuff and block that person. Block that person. Because if that evidence existed, we would have seen it by now. But what we do see is the consistency of wrongdoing by many of these cops on their job. If Breonna Taylor was all of that, they would never have had to falsify a warrant. My heart goes out to Breonna Taylor's family. You know, one thing about them, they never, ever stopped protesting her death. And I don't blame them. Four thugs, four thugs were responsible for ending her life. Four thugs. Lying to get the search warrant, going over there, flooding her apartment, and then shooting wildly and killing her. And tried to go after her boyfriend, Kenneth. But thanks to Olu Stevens, the judge, he did his job. He, out of this whole thing, Olu Stevens is the only one that really truly did their job. The rest of them, nah. The rest of them acted just like criminals, a bigger criminal than the ones they claim they go after. But y'all, please tell me what you think. You know, it's about time that things are moving, and Daniel Cameron can no longer get in the way and obstruct these cops from their punishment that they should have gotten a long time ago. Y'all can still get rid of Daniel Cameron in Kentucky. The next time he's up for election, y'all can get rid of him. But y'all, please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.